Welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. This episode's going to be, I think, have a lot of really interesting things. I was trying to find as much as I could and kind of doing my own research on Mark Carney. And I've seen some stuff kind of floating around, but I also remembered some of the stuff. So I decided to kind of bring that on too and talk about some of the stuff that I remembered about him before he even became the next, I guess, the current. Is he the current right now? Has it switched over? I guess I probably should have known the answer to that question. Well, he is the new Prime Minister of Canada. And for my American friends who watch this on the replay, I'm going to get this right out there. We didn't elect him. Canadians didn't elect him. He didn't get 86% of Canadians vote. I've seen so many Americans push that. How can Canada vote for this guy? He didn't. We didn't. A very small portion of Canadians did. So I'm going to explain it for you guys to compare what it is if it was to happen in America. So we had a leadership race. So that's very similar to your primaries in the US. So when you guys chose Donald Trump as your leader of the Republican Party, we have a similar thing here. It's not as intricate as the one in the US. It's just one big election that happens at the party level. So anyone who has a membership to the party that's having a leadership election get to have a vote. It's very different in this situation. There's a lot of questionable things that happen with this leadership election. One of them, they had over 400 membership or member who would have normally been eligible to vote. But before the vote, they actually canceled or disqualified 250,000 voters. So 250,000 were not able to cast a ballot in this leadership election. And how many they had around, and don't quote me on the exact number, they had around 150,000 people who voted. So the 150,000 people in Canada chose who the next prime minister is. And Mark Carney won. There's also questions about the results as well, because the results were unilateral across all, I guess, ridings or areas. So his percentage was very similar. Even in Chrystia Freeland's riding, they said she only had 188 votes when he had over 1,000. So I find that really, really shocking. So it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of questionable things that happen. However, it's very difficult in Canada because political party are not considered government entity. They're considered almost like private entities. So even to challenge this or question this, it usually doesn't happen at a government level. It would have to happen through the court system. They also disqualified several candidates who were running for the leadership, Ruby Dalla being one of them, which I think she actually had huge chances of winning. I know some people say no. The fact that they disqualified 250,000 vote makes me say, okay, something's really up. Maybe they knew that they were going to support not Mark Carney. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of really corrupt things that it appears to have happened. So yeah, we Canadians didn't pick him. A very small portion of Liberal Party members did. A very, very small portion. So, and I don't even think it was like a normal election. I honestly believe there was something very nefarious that happened in it. Hopefully we'll uncover that in the next few years, but I'm not sure if we will. But we'll see. I have quite a few things to cover about Mark Carney. This is not going to cover everything. However, it's going to cover a lot. And the first thing that I'm going to start with, oh, by the way, let me know where you're watching from. If it's Canada, if it's the US, and let me know if you can see and hear everything. I didn't switch everything over to my laptop yet. I did go and buy the things that I needed yesterday. I just didn't have a chance to do the switch. I was afraid something wasn't going to work properly. I am wearing my headphones, so we shouldn't have the echo like we did have on yesterday. So I don't think we should have that issue. So I think I have my headphones connected. I was walking around, so I disconnected for a bit, but yeah, I got it back connected. Okay, perfect. Chris Sims. Hey, Chris. Hey, you should come on my show soon. I'm going to send you a message. Chris Sims is watching from Lethbridge. If you don't know Chris, she's the president of the Taxpayers Federation in Alberta. So, of that chapter, I believe. I think it's president. I think that's your title. Elvis Towers. Hey, Elvis. LV. It's not Elvis. It's LV Towers. Is watching from Yorkton. Sheila. Tim. Tim Light watching from Ontario, Canada. Oh, Sheila. You're from Ontario. You have Doug Ford. I'm sorry. And Angèle. Oh, Angèle is like my childhood best friend. She's watching as well. She says all good. Can hear clear. Valdez watching from Alberta. Wow, there's so many of you. Angèle's watching from New Brunswick. I'm gonna give you a call. We need to catch up. She's like my longtime best friend from New Brunswick. Oh, Melinda says, did you know Carney's mother is sister to Margaret Trudeau's second husband? I just found this out today. I just found that out too. However, I haven't yet been able to fully confirm. So, but I do have it as one of the things. One of the things that I'm going to talk about. It's funny. Sheila says, I'm sorry too. Because I was very critical of Doug Ford yesterday. I think he was making huge mistakes that are going to affect all of Canada. I did a tweet this morning that's gone like insanely viral. Actually, I'll share that with you guys quickly. I was a bit shocked about that. I knew it was going to be shared a lot, but I do my best tweets or posts. I'm going to call them tweets anyways. I just got to find it. Where did it go? And then I was going to see what Mark Carney said about China. Here it is. There's no greater proof that the Canada-US tariff war is being used to brainwash Canadians into hating the US than their silence on the 100% tariff announced by China last Saturday. So it's at 506 retweet already. I consider something going viral when it gets more retweets than a minute, like more than one retweets per minute. So this will probably go over 1,000 because I only posted it this morning. So, but it's so true. Some of you probably didn't even know China just put 100% tariff on a whole bunch of things in Canada. It's affecting the East Coast because of the seafood industry there. That's one of the things that got a huge tariff imposed. It's affecting Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba because they put a tariff on canola seeds, canola oil, 100% tariff, and we sell a lot of it to China. So, and this is a retaliatory tariff that China has imposed because Trudeau or the Liberal government imposed a tariff on China's electric vehicle, 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicle. So therefore, to protect the auto industry, the electric auto industry in Ontario. So, but now China's retaliating and it's affecting all of Canada. But even more importantly, the Western provinces, because a lot of our exports, especially in Canada, especially in Saskatchewan, sorry, is greatly affected by this. This is going to have such a detrimental effect on the economy here. Wow, Carol Hopkins is watching from South Africa. What time is it there? Hi, David. Hi, Maria. We have a lot of usuals too, which I just love having all the regulars that always comment and come. It makes me have so much more fun with this show. But yeah, so I did that tweet, went insanely viral. I won't talk too much on this because we have a lot to cover. I think I have like 15 tabs to cover on Mark Carney. But the first one that I'm going to go to is his LinkedIn profile. I'm just going to see if I can. So we can get to see who Mark Carney is, what kind of jobs he's done in the past. I just got to make sure it's okay. Let's see if we can fit it all in here. Yeah, there you go. Okay. This is experience. This is Mark Carney's profile. We're going to talk about this. I've seen a lot of people post things on Twitter or X, and but I haven't seen anyone go through his LinkedIn profile yet. So I'm gonna do that. Carol says it's 9 p.m. right now in South Africa. Carol, are you from there or are you just visiting? I'm curious as to how you came across my profile and which area do you live in? Because I know there's a lot happening in South Africa right now with the attacks on farmer. I actually was very fully aware of it prior to all this making mainstream because I have a friend of mine who escaped South Africa. I think it was her uncle who was also a farmer there, got brutally murdered in front of his family, and they sold everything and moved to Canada. So, oh, Carol, you're the Carol I know. I didn't even clue in. Okay, Carol and Albert are there. What is it like right now? Especially there's so much happening. Yeah, sorry, Albert, Rowan, I forgot. I forgot that I knew personally Carol Hopkins. So she's with Albert Albertine, which is my husband's coworker. He's a doctor that works with Jonathan. Okay, let's go through this LinkedIn and see what we're really dealing with. Albert is saying we're not coming home. You can't say that. You can't say that. um Donna Tiffin says, "We will see if he escapes his past. The liberal seems to Houdini all of their past criminal actions." That's so very true. They just it's because the media doesn't hold them accountable, but we are the media now. Okay, so first thing is that now we're gonna go chronologically backwards. So we're gonna start now, go all the way back to all his other jobs. So he's the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. He's on a lot of boards, like a lot of boards. So he's also a board member of Stripe. So if you don't know what Stripe is, it's like the payment system. Like for Twitter, I had to sign up for Stripe to get paid from Twitter. I say get paid. It's not a big amount. It's like $50 once a month. It covers the fee for the Twitter blue check mark. He's the chairman and head of transitioning, or he was until January, the chair and head of transition investment with Brookfield Asset Management. We're going to get a little bit more into that. Brookfield has done a lot of questioning stuff over the years, but I'm just going to read the description so it gives you an idea of the priorities, because this is something he would have written. Focus on expanding. I don't think that's written properly, but focus on expanding on Brookfield's existing strength in ESG investing with the development of a group of funds that will work to combine positive social, environmental outcome with strong risk adjusted returns for investors. The fund will make ESG focused investment that are both capable of delivering measurable outcomes against specific impact goals and consistent with Brookfield's investment in high quality, sustainable asset from backbone of the global economy. Here, I want to ask Grok a question. So ESG, we've been hearing a lot about that. It kind of goes along the whole woke agenda thing. It goes along with the inclusivity. It's kind of all along the same line with the woke agenda. So I just wanted to search. So it stands for environmental, social, and governance. It's a framework used to evaluate how companies or organization perform in three key area. So they'll evaluate like the environment, focus on companies' impact on the planet, think climate change, carbon emission, resource or pollution. Social, look at how a company manages relationship with employees, community, and society. So like labor practice, diversity, or human rights. So along with that whole agenda. Governance deals with leadership and accountability. issues like transparency, corruption, executive pay, or ethical decision making. I find this so funny. So it's one of the things he's like striving for in where they're going to invest, while Brookfield themselves have been a subject of many controversy, including tax evasion, some of the work that they've done in foreign countries, like in I think South America. There's a lot of scandal about that. But anyways, that's just almost every job he's done is to push the woke agenda. This is another example of that, because he wasn't just working for Brookfield. He was working specifically in that, and he made sure to write it on his description for his LinkedIn profile. Now let's go to the next one. UN Special Envoy on Climate Action and Finance. Focus on ambitious implementation of climate action with special attention to significantly shifting public and private finance market and mobilizing private finance to the levels needed to achieve the 1.5 C goal of the Paris Agreement. This includes building the framework for financial reporting, risk management, and return in order to bring the impact of climate change to the mainstream of private financial decision making and to support the transition to a net zero carbon economy. Now, Mark Carney is going to be continue to lie to a lot of Canadians by saying they're going to repeal the carbon tax, all of that. This is like his core value and mission in life. Like, if you look at a lot of the jobs that he's done, he's pushed this agenda. He's pushed it nonstop. So do we expect him to be any different in running this country? Do we expect that to change? Like, this is obviously who he is to his core. That's all he's worked on. And I just want to point back to the previous one. Focus on expanding on Brookfield's like, whoever wrote this, if it's him, maybe go fix it. Look, I'm not perfect with grammar and stuff, but with the world of the AI now, we should be putting pretty much everything through AI to make sure there's no mistake. But this is the Prime Minister of Canada, his LinkedIn. Maybe someone should give him a tip to go fix that. Okay, next thing, finance advisor to the British Prime Minister. UK government. Advise the British Prime Minister and UK government on how to mobilize an ambition action from across the financial system ahead of the COP26 in November. So this was to the British Prime Minister. I know he was the finance advisor to Trudeau. Was he advising financially to governments? Let's just yeah, it doesn't show him it. Wow, they took out advisor. I'm just scrolling back. They took out advisor to Justin Trudeau. He doesn't have it in there. He has it to British Prime Minister. Weird. Huh, interesting. Why did he take it out? While he was running the leadership race, he's like, is he trying to distance himself from Justin Trudeau and his government? Why isn't his job there? Interesting. And he was advising to government at the same time. That's not really ethically sound. What if there was something that happened that UK came against Canada or Canada against US? Donna said, poof, Houdini again. Weird, eh? It's so true. Okay, let's keep going. Board member of Bloomberg Philanthropy. Let's ask Grok what Bloomberg Philanthropy is. Bloomberg. Did I write that correctly? Yeah. Philanthropy. Every time I see like philanthropies or philanthropists, philanthropies, That kinda or philanthropist, is that how you say it? Every time I see that from a rich person, I always I'm like, it doesn't feel right," because a lot of really rich people that have done shady stuff have used philanthropy to fix or undo the damage to their reputation from getting caught in so many, shady stuff. So, every time I see, that kinda stuff, I'm like, "Ugh." It just right away, it's like, red flag. Okay, so Bloomberg Philanthropies is a charitable organization founded by Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire businessman and former mayor of New York City. It's essentially his vehicle for giving away money to causes that he cares about, launched in 2006. Do you guys know who Michael Bloomberg is? The name sounds familiar, but again, I'm new to politics in the last probably 6, 7 years. Okay, let's see. Who is Michael Bloomberg? I know he's American. Is he left? I already know. I'm just looking. He's a billionaire a financial data and media empire. He started that after a career on Wall Street with a net worth hovering around 106 billion as of recent estimates. Interesting. Okay, so Grok says ex-governor Maria says the Ness gang just missing Elliot, which he's referring to. We have all the same people always on YouTube watching the show. So I think we're missing one. Elliot. Where is he? He probably has company. But yeah, okay. So I asked Grok, it says Mark Carney because I asked to help me with the title for the show, but it says Bloomberg's relevance because both he and Carney swim in the same globalist ESG heavy waters. Carney's tie to climate finance, like his role to the UN with the Green Initiative, might overlap with Bloomberg's eco push through philanthropy. Want zero in on that angle. This is Bloomberg. He's a big advocate for gun control, founding Everytown for gun safety, pumping millions into anti-gun campaign. This is not good. That means Mark Carney is likely aligned with Bloomberg. His climate change obsession. So we're talking about Bloomberg right now. Through Bloomberg philanthropy and personal advocacy aligns with the progressive priorities like ESG and green energy. DEI, that was the term I wanted to use earlier and I couldn't remember it. As mayor, he pushed policies like soda ban and aggressive public health regulation, with conservatives often slam as overreach or nanny state liberalism. He's a Democrat now, ran in the 2020 Democratic primaries and bankrolled Biden's campaign after dropping out. Interesting. What if he runs next year? It's interesting. He ran as a Republican in his early mayoral years, 2001 to 2007, winning on that ticket post 9/11 with Rudy Giuliani's endorsement. Weird. Was it a play? Was it a pose? Anyways, let's look at other things he's on. Advisory board member for PIMCO. Okay. What is Pimp not Pimco, Pimco. Pacific Investment Management Company is one of the biggest investment firms specializing in fixed income assets like bonds. Founded in 1971, Newport Beach, California. It's a powerhouse in managing money. Think government bonds, corporate debt, mortgage backed securities. As of now, it oversees around 1.8 trillion in assets. They're known for their bond market expertise with heavy lifters like Bill Gross, shaping its rep pass. It's owned by Allianz, Allinanz, a German insurance behemoth. Oh, here you go. Hear more of that ESG. PIMCO raises eyebrows for its role in the global financial elite, profiting off the markets while pushing ESG investment in recent years, aligning with the woke capital narrative some on the right dislike. So here's another ESG pushing thing that he's a board member of. Now, the next one. Board member of the World Economic Forum. He's not just a member, he's a board member and was a board member up until January 2025. So, for those who don't know, I'm going to get Grok to explain it. The World Economic Forum is a forum that gets that of people that come together. I think it's in Sweden once a year. It's basically the most wokest pushing, agenda pushing people all come together on how they're going to manage and control the world. That's my definition of it. There's been conservatives who have gone to speak there, like Trump did this year. Malay, the president of it, not Venezuela, Argentina, spoke, and they just basically um, not scored, but oh, what's the term? Help me out, guys. They gave a harsh talking to them. Scorn, is it scorn? Is that the proper word? So it's an internet. This is what Grok says. It's an international organization founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab, a German economist, headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, sorry, I think I said Sweden. It's Switzerland. It's best known for its annual meeting in Davos, where global elite CEO, politicians, billionaire, and influencer gather to discuss big issues like the economy, climate, and technology. Its stated mission is improving the state of the world through public-private cooperation, but that's where the love-hate split kicks in. I love how Grok scolded. Yeah, they scolded them. Scolded them. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Maria said spanked. um so yeah, they host forums. If you've seen, like, some of the stuff that's come out of there is very, very extreme. So, like, one of them, like, one of the discussion was, how do we depopulate the world? So they push like ESG, the DEI, all of that stuff. Like, World Economic Forum is the woke agenda. That's what they do. That's what they push. So next thing on the list, this is also World Economic Forum. If you've been paying attention to Pierre, he's been like saying he's going to ban all of his members of parliament from attending, from having anything to do with it. He doesn't want outside entity to influence Canadian government, versus Mark Carney is basically all these outside entity will now be governing Canada. So he's like really, really bad news. He was the governor of the Bank of England, and we're going to show some videos too, as well, as to what some of those people thought of him. So he was the governor of the Bank of not of England, yeah, for 7 years. So he destroyed England's economy. That's like kind of been self-relevant over the years. He was the chair of the Financial Stability Board. Let's see what that is. What is who wants to bet that the Financial Stability Board has ESG in it? Okay, so the FSB is an international body that monitors and makes recommendations to keep the global financial system from imploding. Set up in 2009 after the 2008 financial crisis, it's based in Basel, Switzerland. Switzerland again. And acts like a watchdog for banks, markets, and other financial players. Its job is to spot risk like Lehman Brothers collapse and push policies through, toughen up the system. Think stress, think stress tests, capital rules, or reining in shadow banking. Hmm. The FSB can look at like another layer of globalist bureaucracy, unelected suits meddling in national economies. Its recent focus on climate risk and ESG. I had it. Integration like green stress tests for banks pings the radar of those who see it as a Trojan horse for progressive agenda. So yeah, so he chaired that from 2011 to 2018. Like, I find he's on all of these other things that can pose direct conflict of interest with some of the other policies or other jobs that he had. Sorry, I'm just going to go back and look at a few comments. Um, some of it is commenting. So Bloomberg is evil, not surprised. Carney is an ally of his. He founded GFANS out of Ireland. I don't know what that is. Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. Okay, so that's what it is. Aside from their Davos meetup, they have a private no media allowed meetup in China every year too. Totally suspect. It's weird. It says this stream stopped in Rumble. Why did it stop? Oh, we'll just remove Rumble. Save changes. Let's see. Hopefully it didn't affect everything else. He is involved with BlackRock. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Okay, let's keep going. He was the governor of the Bank of Canada from 2007 to 2013. Does anyone know why he stopped being the governor of the Bank of Canada? He was the senior associate deputy minister of finance from 2004 to 2007, deputy governor at the Bank of Canada. He worked for Goldman Sachs from 1988 to 2003. He was the co-head of sovereign risk, executive director of emerging debt capital markets managing. Let's see who Goldman Sachs is. That name sounds familiar. Goldman Sachs. I know I've seen some people say with all this experience, he's the perfect one to get us out of this economic mess. But they seem to forget that he's been like Trudeau's economic advisor for the last while, and he's also destroyed everywhere he's worked at. So, so Goldman Sachs is a global investment bank and financial powerhouse founded in 1869 by Marcus Goldman. They advise mega corporation on mergers, underwrite stock and bonds, manage billions for the ultra wealthy, and trade pretty much anything that moves in the markets. They're known for their elite clientele, government, Fortune 500 hedge fund, and their knack for making money even when the world's burning. Ooh. Goldman's a lightning rod called the vampire squid, coined by Matt Taibbi in Rolling Stones for its tentacles in finance and politics. Critics like, you can't get more globalist than this. Like, he literally has like the resume of like one of the biggest globalists there is. Okay, let's see what else I've got. Or I just realized I'm still showing the comment, Dave's comment. So for interest, um, Carney's uncle was married to Margaret Trudeau from 1984 to 1999. He's also the godfather to Freeland's son, all in the family. Interesting. Neil says, I see. Where did it go? We will be on a social credit system just like China. It wouldn't shock me. I'm laughing about it because like this is actually could potentially be a reality, and and it's going to be so sad, but I just have to laugh about it. It wouldn't shock me if a social credit system was to be incorporated before the next election. If Carney wins, I fully expect that to happen. We will be selling everything and moving to the US if Carney wins. We've kind of already decided we were considering doing that. Because I honestly believe that's how bad the world's going to go. Now, I'm going to talk about this tweet. So, Mark Carney, I've just got to fix, I just realized that because I had LinkedIn, I had changed kind of how everything looks here. So, I'm just going to readjust this so you guys can see the tweet fully. There you go. So this is Mark Carney with Ghislaine Maxwell, which was the wife of Jeffrey Epstein. Giselle is charged, I think, convicted of human trafficking and human trafficking children. And Epstein is like known as one of the most prolific pedophiles there was. And so they all kind of hung out in those circles. Well, Jeffrey Epstein was a globalist. So that's not shocking. But at this particular event, it was Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein were invited as a guest to this event. And it was his wife's sister that was hosting the event. So, and these photos aren't fake, made up. They've been proving to be true. There was articles written about it before Jeffrey Epstein came out, was like found out to be this really horrific, evil man. Before all of that came out, this was an article, photos from an article written at the time that wasn't talking about Ghislaine or Jeffrey Epstein. It was just an article about this event. I'm just going to read some comments here. I just got to adjust this. Some of them, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You said he didn't finish his term at BOC either. What is that acronym for? Brenda says, my husband describes rightly My husband describes my husband rightly describes Mark Carney as a corporate raider who is here to finish the globalist job. Fawn says, I'm so worried for the election being rigged again. Will anyone be on it like they had to do in the States? I'm sure Trump would not have been elected again if they hadn't. How will we make sure this doesn't happen in this next election? There's so much corruption in Canada. I agree. It's something I'm worried about too. David says we are never going to see the entire Epstein list. Never. Bank of Canada. Okay, and Bank of England. So he didn't finish his term. Did he get fired? Do you guys know if he got fired from the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada? Like what happened? Or maybe he knew was getting fired from the Bank of Canada, then moved on to the next. This is more of that. Look, I will admit, having a photo taken with someone before it all came out that they were like absolutely evil doesn't necessarily make you guilty. It just goes to show though that he's within those circles constantly, and it just pushes even more that he's a globalist. Let's see what I got here. So Pierre made a video. We're going to play it. I shouldn't need to mute myself because I don't think it's going to do what it was doing, but let's see. I'm just trying to figure out how to do these comments because there's a window there. The glare from the window, the light, it makes it hard to read. Oh, sorry. Colleen says Maxwell was his girlfriend. Don't believe her and Epstein were married. Okay, Epstein wasn't married to Maxwell. I thought they were. Neil, you wrote something, but it cut out. My MPP said this morning that the CPC party is putting people in person to watch voting. Yeah, so a really good thing, if you're watching this, one of the things you can do to ensure election integrity is to become a scrutineer. So a lot of people don't know that's something that is very much needed. A scrutineer is a volunteer position. You're not paid for it. Therefore, it's very often happens that they don't have enough scrutineers. And what you do is you watch during the election to make sure there's no cheating occurring. Now, there was massive amounts of people organized to do that in the US with the election that just occurred on the Republican side because they were really worried about voter cheating or election integrity. So we have the same option here in Canada. You can sign up to be scrutineer. I'm not sure the exact way you sign up, but one of the things you could do is contact your MP and tell them you're interested in volunteering as a scrutineer, and then make sure you get the training too, because a lot of people who go don't know the training, don't know what they can and cannot do. So it's really important if they offer training to for you to go to that training. I might even do an episode on that just to educate Canadians on different ways to get involved to ensure election integrity. But yeah, there's certain things that you might see occur, and you can speak up, but then often they'll tell you, no, this is not really part of your job. You're just here to look. They'll try, like if they're cheating, they'll argue with you and try to say, no, this is fine. But it's so important that the scrutineers know exactly what they can and cannot say, so that when they say, oh, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can actually fight back. So one of the things is not just having way more scrutineers, having them properly trained on what cheating could look like, what election interference could look like, so that when it happens, they can speak up and make a big deal about it to stop it from happening. And the US did a really good job at doing this because there was so much concern about the prior election being stolen. There was a lot of irregularities that occurred that's been made fully public now. So yeah, so we need to do the same thing in Canada. I agree. I just don't know who the best person would be to take this on. It should be a job of the CPC. So, but I just don't know how much effort they're putting into that. So the best thing I can say is reach out to your MP and say you're interested in becoming a scrutineer. You have huge concerns about election integrity and you want to sign up. Because imagine if we had imagine if everyone watching this show was to sign up right now, we would potentially have a 2 or 3 scrutineers in most of the ridings. We have like 584 people, 85 people watching right now. Imagine if everyone signed up. We have 338 ridings. I think that's the number. Brenda says scrutineers are very important, but the problem is many rules have changed. I think it'll be so important that they're trained on this. David says he's going to be volunteering to be a scrutineer here in Maple Ridge, BC. I think that's a really, really good thing. We just need more of that. Anyways, I'm going to play this video here. Let me know if the sound doesn't work or something's not working. It should be okay, but I just got to find the right screen. There you go.
It's ironic. Mr. Carney is trying to distract from his many conflicts of interest, as well as it's ironic. Mr. Carney is trying to distract from his many scandals and conflicts of interest, as well as his disastrous record as Justin Trudeau's economic advisor, by talking about Trump. He's the guy that sold out to Trump. 6 days after Donald Trump threatened Canada with tariffs to steal our jobs, Mark Carney announced to Brookfield shareholders that he would move his headquarters from Canada to New York. And when you asked him about it, he lied to your face. We got it in writing and we proved it. He sold out Canada. He put his profit ahead of our people. And he did exactly what Donald Trump wanted. Never before have we had a prime minister so conflicted and compromised and yet so little scrutinized. Just like when he supported carbon taxes in Canada while investing in American coal. He opposed Canadian pipelines while his company bought Middle East pipelines. He has millions of dollars of financial interests that run against Canada's national interests. He gets rich making Canadians poor. You can be sure about one thing. Donald Trump's going to have a briefing on his desk of all of Mark Carney's American investments. And he is going to leverage all of Carney's profit motive against the interests of the Canadian people. And we know Carney will sell out Canada for his personal profit. He's already done it. He's systematically done it his entire time as a corporate insider.
I have another video too after this. I'm going to play a lot of them. This is a post by Andrew Scheer. It was posted today. Serious question. Why isn't the Canadian media doing any due diligence on Mark Carney? The last week, the Financial Times posted an article digging into Brookfield's shady accounting while Mark Carney was in charge. Yet no Canadian media has dug into this, and Mark Carney is hiding from the question about his shady business dealings. In fact, the Liberal PR specialists at the CBC have gone out of their way not to mention Brookfield for over 2 weeks now. When will Canadian media dig into Mark Carney's shady business practices or even pressure him to financially take some questions? Interesting. And then it's the article by How Much Does Brookfield Really Make? One of the world's most complex financial conglomerates is attracting scrutiny for circular flows of cash involving its global property portfolio. I'm wondering if it's tied into, like I had Sam Cooper as a guest that talked about foreign interference and China's drug problem, China's gang problem, and just them being so enthralled into Canada and the corruption and all of that. I wonder if it's tied to. Curious. But why isn't mainstream media talking about this? This is now our new prime minister. Well, I know why. They did the same thing with Trudeau. Like, if it wasn't for like, I'm saying like way too much. If it wasn't for American media, we probably wouldn't know half of what we knew about Trudeau. Like, we probably wouldn't even know about blackface Trudeau. They weren't reporting on it. Sorry, my lips are super dry right now, so I'm trying to fix that. This is not a makeup tutorial video. Let's see what else I got here. So this is a post by Pierre. Here is Carney wholeheartedly endorsing the Canadian energy cap, which today PBO's report shows will kill 54,400 full-time jobs and 21 billion of GDP, while he personally profits off US coal. Sign for a Canada First plan to unleash Canadian energy, bring home powerful paychecks. Those let's watch the video.
But
I'm just fixing it. Oh, it's Rosemary Barton. I wonder if she's gonna be simping for Carney the way she did with her boyfriend Trudeau. She always looked like she was like in love with Trudeau.
And that's in the production and transportation of oil and gas, not the actual use of oil and gas in our cars, used to heat some homes and other things. So we can't meet our ultimate objectives, which is to get to net zero emissions. We can't get there unless we do not just have a cap on emissions, but those emissions are brought effectively to zero.
Yeah.
So and that's in the production and transportation of oil.
Maria says you'll hear Carney's connections on Fox before our media prostitutes. They are paid for by the government. Yes. And Mark Carney has, I think it was like last week, there was something about Mark Carney saying he's going to increase their funding. So this is Carney's new chief of staff, Mark Mendicino. Let's watch this video. Where did it go? Here.
When people who live in apartment buildings find that their front doors are locked and that fires are set in the hallways and corridors.
Point of order, Speaker.
It is
Un instant, Monsieur le Ministre. Oui, Monsieur Mott.
That statement right there has been proven false by the Ottawa Police Service, and there is no connection to the protesters whatsoever. And for this minister to suggest that is absolutely unacceptable at this committee.
when
There's also another thing between Mark Mendicino, not Marco. Here, I've got to switch screens. It was a text. A lot of my screens have frozen here. I'm going to show you that text message now. I did bring it up here. Where did it go? Right here. You remember during the convoy, when they did the jokes, how many tanks are you wanting? Or how many tanks are you asking for? I can't remember if it was Freeland who had texted Marco this, but you need to get the police to move and the CAF if necessary. Too many people are being seriously adversely impacted on what is an occupation. I'm getting out as soon as I can. People are looking to us, you, for leadership and not stupid people. People like Carney, Kath, my team. It's funny, they mentioned Carney. This was during the convoy. Why is Carney influencing then? How many tanks are you asking for? I just want to ask Anita how many we've got on hand. I reckon one will do. And just so you guys know, this when this came out, it was a big deal because if you pay attention to any history, there was a big protest. I think it's called the Tiananmen Square. I don't know if I'm saying it properly, where they had tanks and they ran over people. So they're kind of joking about that, like joking about running over Canadians with tanks. Anyways, so that's Marco, his chief of staff, and they're talking about Carney. So they're all in it on it together. Like, this is not a new government. This is the same exact government. So let's see what else I got here. Oh, this was an interview.
Of that, but by and large,
he did, talking about steel. And this was before, I think, all the steel and aluminum and stuff escalation of tariff that have happened with the Trump administration and Canada, the US Canada, but oh, wrong one.
Secondly, what we're going to do is make sure not that the government pays, not that we as taxpayers pay, but the large polluters pay. And so what happens?
But does that not ultimately trickle down?
No, because what the big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, you know, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days?
This is so idiotic. This is, why would they produce anything that nobody's going to consume? This is so idiotic.
I mean, not as much we used to. So anyway, so secondly,
I'm glad that the reporter called him out. So what he's saying here, instead of doing the regular carbon tax, they're going to do a carbon tax type thing, but it's only going to be to the big producers, which if they're producing, there is eventually consumers. They're just going to add on that cost to consumers, which is going to cause what? Prices to go up. Like, this guy's an economist. Is that the right word? Economist? I'm just reading some comments. The Liberal leadership taxpayer paid fake contests, fake as it gets, openly. People are talking about some of the TV show. So a lot of people get their news from Fox News. Newsmax is good as well, they say. David says, so out of touch, just like he had no idea how much groceries cost because his wife does groceries. I doubt she does that too. I doubt his wife does it. Probably hires someone to do it. Maria says they pounded on large polluters for 10 years. They all leave if they keep this. They'll all leave. They will all leave if they keep this up. Yeah, exactly. Neil says he doesn't have a fridge or washer or dryer or car. All things that use metal. It's true. Let's see what else I got here. Melissa's been posting a lot about Mark Carney. If you don't follow Melissa, I highly recommend you do. Melissa L.M. Rogers. She says, so the Soros Open Society Foundation has heavily funded the Chatham House, and coincidentally, Mark Carney was also president of the Chatham House. Holy smokes. Why was that on his LinkedIn profile? I'm just going to go peek quickly here. It wasn't. They really, really cleaned it up. Here, just give me a sec. What is the How do you write it? Oh, wrong one. What is the Chatham House? Let's see. A Royal Institution of International Affairs. It's a prestigious think tank based in London, founded in 1920. It's a hub for dissecting global politics, economics, and big issues like security or climate change. Again, that keeps coming up. And it's funded by George Soros. The same, it's just keeps tying in together. So, and they were getting grants, yeah, from George Soros. He was the president of Chatham House. Soros Open Society funded Eurasia Group. This is where Gerald Butts and Diana Carney went. Diana Carney is Mark Carney's wife. Gerald Butts was principal secretary to Trudeau. Do you all see the deep evil connections here? I want to make a point, and I'm going to get back to this. When they push the whole climate change agenda, the net zero, all of that, they're pushing for green energy. So solar panels, windmills, all these other avenues that use rare earth minerals, that use a lot of other things. Now, if they know they're going to push these things, they know that those industry are going to get a lot of money pushed towards them. So when you have like globalist elites who are all invested in these ESG programs or climate change programs, when they push and destroy the oil and gas industry, it pushes the green industry or the green energy. Now they're all there to have massive profits from it. And it's funny because these are the same people who are pushing the policies, but they're also the same people who stand the most to profit from those policies being implemented in. But it's not regular Canadians that profit from that. These are global elites who profit from it. So I just see this whole just a huge transfer of wealth occurring and going towards globalist billionaire elites that Mark Carney seems to be very, very attached to. So, and if he's part of all of these board, he's going to want to please them. So if they've been pushing all of this stuff, Mark Carney is not going to be willing to go against it, even if that's what Canadians want. He's just going to push the agenda of what they want, and the same agenda that he's been pushing for years. Now, I just find it interesting how much this is being hidden and stifled down because you don't have that being added to his LinkedIn profile. What else is there? Now, I think there's going to be a lot of announcements for minister and stuff. I'll probably do an episode just on that. But this is one of the tweets that I saw that was interesting. Trudeau's former roommate and disastrous Minister of Indigenous Affairs and Immigration, Mark Miller, has been fired from the cabinet by Mark Carney. So I don't know, has he announced all of the points, all of the people he's appointed to like the cabinet? I don't know if he has yet, but it just goes to show like the same people Trudeau had are also friends with Mark Carney. I mean, they were roommates. Here's another video.
One of the reasons
I'll play this one. Just give me a sec. I've got to switch screens to do that.
Why families have a hard time to afford their groceries is because we haven't had productivity. I'm
in the process right now looking for a fourth job.
Many people are working multiple jobs trying to keep themselves afloat.
Hustling. I have like 3 different jobs and I'm in school.
Kids who eat like this at a young age, it's like I want to be able to feed them without being nervous or scared.
Like I make pretty decent money, but I'm still paycheck to paycheck.
And the average family of 4 expected to spend about another $800 for basically the same basket of groceries.
People are trying to keep their lights on, pay their rent. They're seeing a record number of working poor.
Price of groceries, very, very high, very expensive.
Can't afford gas, food, rent on minimum wage, right? People can barely do it on like $30 an hour.
productivity.
This is a good ad by the Conservative Party because they're showing like Canadians how it's going to directly affect them if they elect Mark Carney. Oh, this was the tweet that I was talking about how I was going to talk about it later on. Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau are related through marriage. Kemper Freed married Margaret Trudeau. Freed is brother to Carney's mother. All in the family. Why no mention of this until uncovered? Yeah, and Carney is godfather to Freeland's kid. Like, they're all interconnected. This is not a new government. Like, this is like Trudeau 2.0. It is. Like, I think it's actually worse because he's even more interconnected with all the globalist elites that just want to destroy the entire world. More lies from Mark Carney. So this is another video. I think Michael's the one who did it. So I'll play that quickly. I'll probably speed it up too. Let's make it so it goes faster.
Mark Carney's values are for sale. Carney is best known as Carbon Tax Carney, and for good reason. Because for years, Carney has been arguably the loudest global cheerleader for the carbon tax.
On the carbon price, we're demonstrating leadership. For example, here in Canada, the carbon price path, price of pollution, I don't know the polite way to say it, but the carbon price path out to $170 by 2030 is exactly the right policy.
It is as important that the government has set out this path for the carbon price out to $170 by 2030 with rebates for Canadians.
For Carney, carbon tax is more than a policy. It goes to the core of who he claims to be. So much so that Carney prominently featured the carbon tax in his book entitled Values, Mark Carney's Values. In Values, Carney wrote that the carbon tax is one of the most important policies of our lifetime. According to Carney, Trudeau's carbon tax is a model for the rest of the world. But now that Carney is running to be prime minister, he's suddenly flip-flopped on his beloved carbon tax, telling Canadians that he would cancel Trudeau's carbon tax. This demonstrates that Carney's values are negotiable. They're for sale. So much for Carney's values. He's someone who clearly cannot be trusted. Carney will say and do anything to get elected. And consistent with this, while Carney is telling Canadians that he would cancel the carbon tax, he's telling radical Liberal Party carbon tax zealots that he would replace Trudeau's carbon tax with a new tax, an even bigger tax on key Canadian producers, costs that will be passed on to Canadian consumers. Carney can call this new tax whatever he wants, but what it really is a carbon tax, an even bigger carbon tax. Carney's claim that he would cancel Trudeau's carbon tax is nothing more than a cheap political gimmick in an effort to trick Canadians before the next election. But make no mistake about it, if Carney is elected, he would impose an even bigger carbon tax than Trudeau when he no longer needs your vote, but still needs your money. Only a common sense conservative government led by Pierre Poilievre.
So I just grokked about his book. I didn't know he had put out a book. I just asked Grok what's in it. And in it, he talks about the 2008 financial meltdown, COVID-19, and climate change as symptoms of a deeper problem. Markets have drifted from human values. He argues that society has gone from a market economy where markets serve people to a market society where everything's priced and nothing's sacred. He's not shy about pointing fingers at unchecked capitalism for this shift. He lists his core values: solidarity, fairness, responsibility, resilience, sustainability, dynamism, and humility. These sound noble, but he admits they're not fixed, more like muscles to flex. From a conservative angle, I'm just reading. So top-down imposition of morality by a guy who spent his life in elite circles. It's true, right? He's always been like a rich. Like, he has no idea what it's like to be like a regular, everyday person. Climate obsession. Carney's big on climate. Globalist blueprint. The book's loaded with prescriptions. Think granular plans for mission-oriented capitalism. So it kind of goes along with the ESG stuff. Interesting. Just like Trudeau, It's true. Okay, what else do I have? Sarah posted about this. 2 years ago, the Toronto Star did an expose on Brookfield's aggressive tax avoidance, but now that the then chair is going to be PM, the media has been silent on Carney's tax dodging. Not a peep. Is the media once again protecting the hand that will feed them? This was in June 2023. The pleb made this post. Mark Carney went to a steel factory, and all the people behind him aren't actually steel workers. They're all his MPs that are dressed up like steel workers. And Pierre went to a similar factory. It might even be the same. Is it the same? Here. I can't make it bigger. I want to make it bigger because I want to see. But it just goes to show, do you have the people behind you, or are you just trying to paint that you care? This is the same guy that said that we don't really use steel. This is another tweet that I thought was interesting by Aaron Gunn. So Aaron Gunn, I think he's running to be MP. I don't think he's MP yet in BC. While I'm no fan of Justin Trudeau, it wasn't his voice, approach, or personality that doubled housing costs, doubled the national debt, and increased drug use and crime over the past 10 years. It was his policies, the exact same policies supported by Mark Carney. Don't forget. This is such an important post. I'm just going to bookmark it because it's so true. Like this is what we need to tell Canadians that are considering going back to the Liberal Party or voting Liberal again. Like your life circumstances that made you not want to support Trudeau are not going to change with Carney. It's the exact same. Now, did you dislike Trudeau because of his personality, or did you dislike him because of the harm that he has caused your country and the harm that he has caused your family by the decisions made, by the policies passed? It's not going to change with Mark Carney. It's going to be the exact same. They're trying to sell it differently, though. They're trying to paint that Mark Carney is not the same as Trudeau. But the fact is, he's actually worse. It wouldn't shock me if he was one of the ones who was pressuring Trudeau to push the socialist, leftist, woke ideology agenda further and further on Canadians. Let's see what else I've got. I've got a couple more tabs. I think they're done, though. They're not on Carney. No, they're not on Carney. Oh, I wanted to share something just quickly. I've seen this photo. I'm not going to leave it on the screen very long. Some people are insinuating that this photo is him with Jeffrey Epstein. I have yet to see confirmation that that's actually real. If anything, I've seen people indicate that that it was AI doing that photo. I don't think we as conservatives should be pushing that kind of stuff. It actually hurts our side when we push stuff that are not accurate. So I just wanted to show it because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he was in this pool with Jeffrey Epstein, blah, 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 blah. But I have yet to see confirmation that that photo is actually correct. And if anything, again, if you look at the photo, there's indication with the background people that it looks like AI made. So if you guys have proof that it's real, I would like to see it, but I just wanted to share that too, because some of you may have seen it and think, oh, okay, there's a photo of him with Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't necessarily think too, like I wouldn't put it past the globalists to drop some of those things to make us look like we're all insane. Like I wouldn't put it past them to plant some of that stuff so that that can easily be proven as false, so that his photo with Ghislaine Ghislaine Maxwell is not trusted to be true. Like, I wouldn't put it past that. That would be like a way that they have done in the past, like doing psyops in the past to try to discredit truth. Is they would post something similar that's obviously fake, that can never be true, to try to discredit the people who are posting both the true stuff and the fake stuff. Yeah, there was many people who dropped in an AI and it confirmed that it was AI. There's other true photos though that can be said that it's AI. Like, I know the one with the burnt babies in Israel following March 7th, they were saying it was AI, but there was like information on it that was blurred. So AI would have blurred that information to protect the identity of the victim. So that's why it would detect like a falsified photo. It didn't mean the entire photo was falsified. It would pick up even on that. Yeah, Maria says they can do a Photoshop pixelator thingy to see if if the photo is Photoshopped. And I just say this because it's almost like a warning for us too, because we have to be cognizant and think critically about the things, even if we see it coming from our side, that the things that we're seeing, they're not always perfectly true or completely accurate. So we should be looking at the things that come from the right side just as critically as we do the things from the left, because the people pushing like evil stuff want to brainwash the masses, even the awake people. And for us to think that they wouldn't even bother to do that, to discredit awake people, like if anything, if I was like an evil person, I would target the people who are waking others up in order to discredit them so that people stop listening to them. And how would I do that? I would try to influence them to push stuff that is very extreme, or to push stuff that it is easily provable untrue. That way you can completely damage their credibility. So anytime they talk about the true stuff, then people don't listen to them anymore. This is like something that's happened over generation. And I'm not just being conspiratorial here. I've actually seen it happen with my own two eyes with some of the people that I've listened to and stuff over the years. Squirrel says if it's not true, then it's not from our side. Actually, that's not actually accurate. Our side, like as in the right or whatever, can be fooled into sharing things that aren't true. Like we saw that over time where something, like, I don't know how many people I saw share that photo. I don't know how many people I saw share other stuff that wasn't true, but it came from like a trusted account. So people assumed it was true. So that's why I'm just telling you guys this. When you see stuff, make sure that it is true. See if you can verify it. The same way you do with the left, do the same with the right. Like, even stuff, I'm okay with you guys questioning me. I'm probably going to make mistakes. I'm probably going to share something that might be not true, or information comes out that debunks it or clarify it. I want you guys to let me know. I will not get offended. I won't get angry with you. If I'm sharing something that you know is inaccurate or whatever, let me know. I will correct it. I'll repost, or like, I've done that many times. If you look on my Twitter, I think I've deleted 2 tweets where I and I said I deleted them and why I deleted them, so that there was transparency and accountability. One of them, I had read the initial tweet wrong, so when I responded to it, I responded to what I thought it was, not what it actually was. Liberals can get away with lies because they are morally bankrupt. Conservatives aren't. No, it's true. It's true. Squirrel. Squirrel says, enough with the we don't know things. We know, and it's time to stop it. Well, the problem is I've seen conservatives share things that are false, like this photo. So while you know things, there are some people who don't. So, okay, what else do I've got here? I've got a couple of things. Trump said something about Canada this morning, but I want to play this video. It's by Cat Canada shared it. So the richest province in Canada is poorer than the poorest state in the US. Mark Carney will make it even more poor. The urge to black pill intensify. What does black pill means? Do you guys know? Say in the comment if you know. I'm gonna ask Grok while while this video plays.
The richest province in Canada is poorer than the poorest state in the United States. Do you know that Canadians are now poorer per capita with regard to GDP than people who live in Mississippi? And that's all happened since Trudeau, all of it. Canada was basically at parity a decade ago, and the Americans are basically 40% ahead. You know, and you can see why, because what happens is that as soon as you're successful anywhere in the world, if you have any sense, you move to the United States, because everything is way easier here. The richest province in Canada is poorer than the...
Okay, so I search what it means. That's really sad. Black pilled is losing all hope. Yeah, that's what it says here. It says black pill is a slang term that popped up in online subculture, often conservative or anti-establishment views, but it's darker and more cynical. To be black-pilled means you've gone beyond just seeing the world's flaws. You've swallowed the belief that it's irredeemably broken, corrupt, and doomed, and there's no fixing it. Some days I think I'm there. And other days I'm like, no. Like last night I was super tired and just so discouraged by like the brainwashing and how much it's working on Canadians, how people are not seeing through this, how people are not seeing through Mark Carney. And I was just, I think I was black pilled or in that state. I actually did a tweet about it here. It resonated with a lot of people. I was like, I was feeling so discouraged that I watched a movie, which I never watch TV. It's very rare. I'm always so busy, but I watched a movie. It's called The Wild Robot. I don't know if you've seen it. I watched it with my kids and it was actually really, really good kids movie. We'll probably watch it again, but and there was I didn't see like much. Like I only saw one little thing that was like woke in there, and it was shows like a world in the future, and the Golden Gate Bridge was shown like when the birds are flying over was shown underwater. So that whole like everything's gonna melt and the seawater is gonna go up was shown, but that was the only thing I saw in the whole movie that was like woke. So everything else was really good. But I wrote this tweet. Let's see. I should have put it down on the screen here. Let's find it. Here. Who else feels like the entire world is falling apart, like something big is coming, and no matter what you do, nothing can stop it? Some days I just want to go back to a time where life was good, when I did not believe every government entity was money-driven and corrupt. A time where poking a stick at a campfire with the family was the highlight of my week, and I didn't have to think about all the world's problems. That was how I was feeling last night. So a lot of people are resonating with that. And then a lot of people were like, look to Christ, look to God, because God is the one in control. And I do believe fully in the Bible to be the true word of God and it to be truth. And it does talk about the end times, what that's going to look like. And it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to be easy to go through. But we as Christians are to always look to Christ. And it was like a good reminder, okay, yes, everything's falling apart, but God wins in the end. Like Jesus came and won already. So you can have all of this evil happening around the world, but in the end, God is still God, and he's made promises and covenants to us. and that one day we will be with him in heaven and everything will be great. so yeah. But still, it just gets like I have moments, it's like a roller coaster in a way. I have moments where I'm like, I have all the energy in the world to fight and fight and fight and try to bring a real world that we want to leave our children. And then other days I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why are we sacrificing so much? Like, I just want to sell everything, get a motorhome, and take my little family and go drive all across the US and just meet new people and just like hide from the world. Or get a cabin in the middle of nowhere. I would say get a cabin in the middle of nowhere and hide from the world, but I'm an extrovert. I need people. So, anyways, I'm just gonna I've missed a lot of comments here. Marty up north has said, so David says, Marty up north has said he's moving closer to black pilling. And he said if Carney wins, that will be his black pill, and said he will consider moving to the US. I can say I feel the exact same way. Or maybe better, Alberta, Saskatchewan will become the US. David says, I do not want to black pill. I want. And then white pilled means hopeful even with what. Okay. White pilled means hopeful even with what you know is the truth. Maria says, I get very down when I see these unbelievable polls. When I had Mark Mitchell last week, so if you guys didn't watch that episode, I had Mark Mitchell on my show and we talked about polling. So Mark Mitchell is the guy that does all the Rasmussen reports or the polling in the US. Like he's been quoted by everyone, like by Trump and stuff. And he said during the election campaign, all the polling, his was very constant, always showing Trump winning by a few points. His was the most accurate out of all of them. So his was always constant during the whole time during the election. You know how they were showing Kamala going up, 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 and then eventually down. His was always constant the entire time. And he said he doesn't understand how they could have been so different than his. Like his ended up being accurate in the end. So he thinks that when the polls were showing different things, they probably didn't release that information, or he feels that they would have manipulated the data. So, but yeah, I'm with you on that. If Canadians can be that brainwashed, but for me, it's not necessarily just the poll. It was the whole. I really feel like right now we're in the same type of brainwashing manipulation that we were during COVID, with this whole tariff war. It's just another crisis where Canadians are being pushed to fear, 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 fear. But now the new enemy is not the unvaccinated. The new enemy is Americans or Trump. Like that. And so many are falling for it. So many are being completely brainwashed right now. And that has me more discouraged with Canada than just the level of brainwashing and just going along with that line, with that mainstream narrative, seeing being repeated over and over and over again. That to me makes me more discouraged into the world. It makes me think people are not free thinkers enough for society to thrive. I think if evil entities can get enough power, they can actually cause populations to do really, really evil thing. And they're not going to push back on it. A perfect example of that is booing at the American anthem. Like growing up, like if you go to any sports event and there's anthems and stuff, things for the other team, like you're taught, grilled into you of having good sportsmanship. Like this, like used to be a Canadian value, and you leave it on the ice, right? You have issues, you leave it on the ice, and just seeing the Canadians, like all the Canadians, fall in line with like Trudeau saying we should boo. That to me says a lot more about the state we are in than a poll. That to me shows that you can go against a core value you've always had to now being brainwashed into behaving in a way that 10 years ago you never thought you would behave. Like that has me more worried than voting intentions. I think that says the state of how broken Canada has become, and that bothers me. I think that's where my black pill is happening more and more. I'm just sorry, there's so many comments I've missed. Maria says, someone always wants to rain on our parade. So infuriating. Listen to to authority in your government isn't in my Bible. Well, it is to a certain extent, but not to the extent that they were trying to push. You don't follow the government and authority unless they are godly led government and authority. And if they were, they wouldn't go against the word of God, which we've kind of seen over time and time again. They go against the word of God. Therefore, you're supposed to follow God over government and authority. Maria says, I wish Trump would back off for a while. This mess is helping the libs gain support. David said Mark was a great guest. He was. He really was. I really like Mark. It's funny just how good friends we've become since America Fest. He's probably one of the contacts that I'm the gladdest that I made when I went there. And then when I saw him at CBAT, it was just awesome. I wasn't alone. David asked, do you think, or he's asking Maria, do you think Trump is doing this on purpose to hasten Canada's demise with a liberal government so he can come and clean up? What is a possibility? I'm going to tell you what I think. I don't think Trump is doing this to take over Canada or for the liberal government to become a possibility. I think he's doing this to weaken our position in trade negotiations for the future. If you follow like his book, it goes right alongside that. Get them off of their foundation, shake them up a bit, and then when you come in for the negotiation, you'll take kind of anything you want, you're given, right? As long as you don't take us over, we'll give you whatever we want, just don't take us over, kind of thing. Don't keep doing what you're doing, kind of thing. COVID proved that Canada can be easily overtaken. Oh, there's a lot of comments I'm missing. It's the division already created and the narrative they are able to keep with everything because they monopolized everything, including radio. It's so true. We don't have a counter narrative as much in Canada as we do, as the US does. Like we have people like me who create content, but we only reach so much. A lot of Canadians, if they don't see it on TV, they don't believe it, right? They've kind of been taught over time that TV is the only source of trusted news, versus in the US, their reach is so much greater to show the lies of the mainstream media. But I do think it's changing a little bit, in the sense a lot less Canadians trust mainstream media now than they did years ago. There is a poll on it. I'll find it. Maybe I'll play it. I'll talk about it on the show tomorrow if I can find it. If somebody's seen it, send it to me. Yeah, David says putting religion affiliation aside, if the world just lived by the 10 commandments, we would be golden. Wendy James says, I feel the same about the brainwashing. Why can't Canadians be even a little discernible about information they hear and what they see with their own eyes? It tells me that the different regions in this large country have completely different values. It's so true. David says Soros bought up 250 US radio station and Biden rushed the sale through right before he retired. Rhonda says Moose Jaw. Must be answering the earlier question. Maria says 100%, 1,000%. Make the 10 commandments great again. So, okay, I've got a video that I'm going to play and then I'll end the episode. It's what Trump was saying this morning. Where did it go? Here it is. Trump had more words for Canada. This was in this morning.
No, I'm not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. Hey, how good is Wayne Gretzky? He's the great one. But we have, I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine. But, you know, the United States can't subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they get. We do it because we want to be helpful. But it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states, maybe our greatest state. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need the cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes.
Interesting, because every time he talks about the 51st state, he always points to this. We subsidize them always. Like he'll say that and then he'll say his point. So he'll say his point, do the 51st state, and then say his points again. So I honestly still believe my assessment that it's to try to weaken or get off your feet the opponent that you're trying to negotiate with. But I'm just going to read some of the comments. David says, I don't blame Trump for pointing out Canada's punitive trade practices, the dairy cartel, and all the tariffs. MSM will never let Canadians know that. Squirrel says, we will never be a state. Thanks for the offer, though. David says, where is Team Canada for China's tariff? Not a peep. They should all be outraged. I think Scott Moe is one of the only ones who's kind of talking about that. I'm just going to see here if Pierre has mentioned anything since, because I looked yesterday and he hadn't. And then I got to go. I just realized it's 2:25. No, nothing recently. That's such a disappointment. if anything, Pierre should be talking about this. Did Carney? Let's see. And then I'll get going. No, nothing from Carney. Interesting. Maria says Mo and Smith are both in Texas right now. That's true. Carney didn't say anything. Maria says, I don't blame Trudeau, or I don't blame Trump either. We're a mess. It's just crappy timing with us close to an election cycle. That's so true. David says, Danielle has been waffling. Yeah. I think she panicked for a little bit there. Scott Moe did too. Like, they're getting better now, but they did. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I have to like leave my house in 4 minutes to be on time to pick up my son. So I can't even stay to end this. I have to go. I just realized the time is getting too close. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, I think. Yeah. We're Wednesday today. No, we're Thursday today. So tomorrow's Friday. I will be back tomorrow, probably covering more stuff, and I will see you guys then. Have a good afternoon.